Part 1: The Ghost Signal. Space has a peculiar way of making my world feel both vast and suffocating at once. Out here, beyond the touch of Earth's comforting blue, we drifted like cosmic flotsam aboard the Argonaut asterisk, a clunky freighter with delusions of grandeur. My name is Rylan Carter, and for what it's worth, this rust bucket is home, or at least it has been for the past 3 years. The Argonaut wasn't exactly the promised land, but it paid the bills and kept my crew of misfits, an engineer, a pilot, and a very sarcastic AI, from keeling over from sheer boredom. Tonight, just outside the asteroid belt, our instruments picked up something odd, a signal. It wasn't one of those run-of-the-mill distress calls from lost ships or rogue traders evading taxes. This one was a ghost signal, flickering on the edges of known frequencies, the kind of anomaly that sings sweet lullabies of fortune to a spacefaring hopeful. To my mind, it was the kind of mystery that sunk its hooks deep into curiosity, and I've always been terrible at resisting a good mystery. "Captain, I'm getting readings that suggest an artificial structure, bigger than anything we've charted in this sector," said Nia, our engineer, her voice crackling through the speaker. Her tone carried that underlying excitement that came with the potential for discovery. "It's like a damn megastructure." "Megastructure," I repeated like a parrot with amnesia. "Out here, you're not just seeing a cluster of floating rocks, right?" "Trust me, Cap, this isn't a mirage." "All right, let's get eyes on it." Nia's voice was a comfort, like the hum of the engines beneath my feet. She'd been my second in command ever since I picked her up from a derelict station orbiting a star in its death throes. We both shared an itch to uncover the unknown, though she was slightly better at it than me. As we approached, the Argonaut asterisk's rusty hull groaned in protest, a fitting overture to what lay before us. Emerging from the darkness was something that defied description, an enormous latticework of metal and swirling lights, partially obscured by the iridescent glow of a nebula. It was as if some ancient deity had abandoned their cosmic tinker toy on an interstellar playground, leaving it to drift aimlessly. The place looked abandoned, but the signal was coming from there, pulsing with an enigmatic rhythm that played with our scanners like a game of hide and seek. I had an uneasy feeling it was more than it appeared. I couldn't shake that sensation, like the universe was holding its breath, waiting. "Evaline, give me a full scan," I said, addressing our ship's AI. Evaline was less like a digital assistant and more like an infuriatingly witty roommate who could rearrange matter at will. "I'd love to, Captain, but the interference is playing havoc with my sensors," she replied with a feigned sigh. "Though I must say, my calculations suggest this construct is old, like really old, ancient by human standards." "So what, it's a haunted house in space?" piped up Jax, our pilot, leaning back in his chair with a skeptical grin. If there was a medal for least alarmed person in a potentially hazardous situation, Jax would have an entire trophy room. "Haunted or not, it might have treasures worth scavenging," Nia said, her broad grin evident even through the comms. "But we should be careful. Just because it looks empty doesn't mean it is." "All right, team, let's do this by the book," I said, though I doubted any of us had ever actually read the book. "Jax, take us in slow and steady. Evaline, keep me posted on any new developments. Nia, prep for boarding." I didn't get to where I am by playing it safe, and I didn't plan to start now. Besides, there was something alluring about that signal, like an outstretched hand offering secrets too tempting to ignore. As we approached a docking bay, rusted over but functional, there was a moment of stillness, a pause before the plunge. The docking clamps engaged with a low thrum, like the satisfied purr of some cosmic beast. The Argonaut was moored. Now it was time to see what awaited us inside this colossal mystery. Stepping into the airlock, I felt the familiar churn of adrenaline mixed with a dash of fear. The thrill of discovery was like nothing else. I glanced at the crew. Nia's eyes sparkled with hidden excitement. Jax wore his trademark sly smirk, and though Evaline was just a voice in our ear, I imagined her rolling her eyes and preparing for what she called our inevitable can of worms. The door slid open with a hiss, revealing a cavernous corridor. Dust motes danced in our flashlight beams, painting swirling fractals against towering walls. The air was stale, carrying a scent like metal and forgotten echoes. "Welcome to the Lost Kingdom," I muttered to myself. We moved cautiously. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the echoing clank of our boots. My mind raced with possibilities. What was this place? Who Buie? It, and why had they left it behind, like the last lingering memory of a forgotten era? And then, as if to answer me, the lights flickered on. All at once the corridor was flooded with a cold, sterile glow. My heart skipped a beat. From the shadows emerged something that made me chuckle despite myself, a maintenance drone trundling along a rusted track, oblivious to its own obsolescence. "Looks like we're not the only ones here," Jax whispered, as if afraid to disturb the peace. Or maybe he was just trying not to laugh at the absurdity of it all. The drone paused, scanning us with a mechanical flicker. Then it resumed its endless patrol, a solitary sentry in an empty fortress. "Creepy little guy," Nia said, nudging it with her boot as it rolled past. "Plenty of time for creepy later," I said, though I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. As we ventured deeper, the architecture became more elaborate, with twisting spirals and intricate mosaics depicting scenes of stars and beings I couldn't identify. It had a beauty that was both alien and strangely familiar, like waking from a dream you couldn't quite remember. The mystery of the ghost signal lingered in the air, thick with the weight of ages. Somewhere in the heart of the structure, something beckoned. We pressed on, driven by the allure of discovery and the promise of the unknown. And then, without warning, the floor beneath us shifted, sending us sprawling into the dark. The structure had woken up, and it seemed we had just overstayed our welcome. Part 2: The Awakening. The ground seemed to vanish beneath us, and the world tilted as if the very fabric of spacetime itself was being unwoven and rewoven in a joke only the cosmos understood. I clawed at the air, searching for purchase, but gravity had its own plans. We tumbled down through darkness. Seconds, minutes, it was impossible to tell in the disorienting freefall. My mind flashed with half-formed nightmares of infinite voids and an eternal plunge. I landed hard, the impact jarring but thankfully not bone-shattering. Around me, the crew moaned in various stages of disarray. I blinked, willing my eyes to adjust to the dim, violet-lit chamber we now found ourselves in. It was cavernous, the ceiling lost in shadows, and the walls pulsated with strange, flickering runes. "Everyone in one piece," I called out as I pulled myself to my feet, brushing off the dust and disorientation. The question sounded absurdly normal given the circumstances, but sometimes clinging to routine was all that kept the madness at bay. "Define peace," Jax replied from somewhere to my left, his voice laced with its usual sardonic edge. "Because I think I left my dignity back up there." "Still breathing, Captain," Nia said, her form emerging from the shadows. "But what the hell was that?" "It felt intentional," I said. "Like someone or something doesn't want us here but also didn't want us dead." Evaline chimed in through our communicators, her tone irritatingly calm despite the situation. "Preliminary analysis indicates that the structure's internal systems are reactive, possibly adaptive. It's alive in a sense, responding to our presence." "Great, an ancient haunted house with a mind of its own," Jax muttered, dusting himself off. "Just what I always wanted." Nia was already inspecting the walls, her fingers tracing the glowing runes, eyes alight with curiosity. "Captain, these symbols, it's like they're alive, changing and shifting like they're trying to communicate." The runes were mesmerizing, swirling patterns that seemed to ebb and flow with an unseen tide. As I watched, they morphed, flickering like static on a broken screen. There was an intelligence behind them, a consciousness struggling to breach some unfathomable barrier. "Evaline, can you translate this?" I asked, feeling a thrill of excitement despite the danger. There was something here, something worth understanding. "I'll see what I can do, but it might take some time. It's as if the language is rewriting itself with every analysis." We were in the heart of the mystery now, no turning back. Whatever slumbering intellect lay beneath these structures had been awakened by our intrusion, and it was curious, or perhaps cautious. "Should we keep moving?" Nia asked, looking back at me with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. She was right, standing still wasn't an option. We needed answers, and they weren't going to come to us. "Yeah," I nodded. "But let's try to avoid any further impromptu spelunking, okay?" The quip was a facade, a thin veneer over the gnawing unease that whispered at my core. My instincts screamed caution, but my curiosity, that insatiable beast, pushed us onward. We navigated through the labyrinthine passages, guided by the runes that flickered and danced, as if leading us somewhere specific. Deeper into the structure, the air grew warmer and more humid, each breath laden with the scent of ancient dust and technology older than human memory. Our path opened into a vast chamber filled with towering obelisks, their surfaces etched with the same shifting runes. At the center was a massive console, its surface aglow with lines of energy that pulsed in rhythm with the alien symphony echoing through the air. "Is this the control room?" Nia breathed, her eyes widening in awe. She approached the console, her fingers hovering over its surface. "It's incredible." As if in response, the runes across the room brightened, casting strange shadows that twisted and writhed across the floor and walls. A low hum filled the air, vibrating through my bones. The structure was speaking, and each wordless note resonated with a truth I couldn't yet comprehend. "Captain, we have incoming." Evaline's voice snapped us back to the present. "I'm detecting several signals approaching your position, non-human, and definitely not friendly." "Looks like the locals aren't thrilled about their new guests," Jack said, drawing his sidearm with a wry grin. We shared a glance, the silent understanding that had bound us through countless close calls and narrow escapes. This was about to get messy. At the chamber's far end, a doorway slid open with a hiss, revealing figures silhouetted against the glow of the corridor beyond. They were unlike anything I'd seen, non-humanoid beings, their forms indistinct yet unmistakably intelligent. Tendrils of energy danced across their bodies, casting kaleidoscopic patterns on the walls. "Get ready," I said, steeling myself for what was to come. The runes pulsed with intensity, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the cusp of something monumental. We were intruders in a place that wasn't meant for us, but whatever secrets these ancient walls held, they were now entwined with our fate. The aliens advanced, and we stood our ground, the weight of the unknown pressing against us. The ghost signal, the structure's consciousness, the alien presence, all were threads in a web that was drawing us deeper into its heart. Whatever was happening here, it was bigger than us, and the only way out was through. Part 3: The Resonance Code. It's one thing to face the unknown, but to face it when it's advancing with fluid grace and alien intent is another story altogether. The figures moved toward us, their energy tendrils crackling with a life all their own, the air charged with tension and a strange, almost musical hum that resonated through the very metal beneath our feet. "Hold steady," I called out, though it felt like shouting in the eye of a storm. My instincts twitched, caught between fight or flight. But running wasn't an option, not when the answers were right here, waiting to be unraveled. The aliens didn't seem hostile, not immediately. More like curious, like we were the latest attraction in an ancient exhibit. It was in that moment, as I locked eyes, or what I assumed were eyes, with the nearest creature, that I realized they were communicating. Not through words, but through resonance, the very vibrations and hums that filled the air. "Evaline, record everything," I whispered, hoping the AI could parse wisdom from chaos. "And if you can, give me a clue here." "My pleasure, Captain," Evaline replied, her tone tinged with intrigue. "Their communication appears to be harmonic, like a language of sound and frequency." "Great, so we're talking to space whales," Jax quipped, his grip on his sidearm relaxing just a fraction. Nia, ever the bridge between curiosity and caution, stepped forward slowly, hands raised in a universal gesture of peace. The aliens paused, mirroring her movement in an alien symphony of motion and light. Evaline's voice cut through the tension, a calm amidst the storm. "Captain, I believe I can establish a basic line of communication. The patterns they're using are akin to a complex code, but I need a bit more time to decipher it fully." "Buy us that time, then," I urged, aware of every second slipping by like sand through fingers. We were standing on the precipice of discovery, and the abyss was either filled with understanding or oblivion. The aliens' harmonics shifted, resonating with a palpable curiosity. It was like being caught in a concert of chimes and echoes, each note carrying a weight I couldn't quite grasp. But deep in my bones I felt a connection, a bridge forming between our worlds. Suddenly, the console behind us flared to life, bathing the room in a kaleidoscope of colors. The obelisks responded like tuning forks struck in perfect unison, the runes rippling with newfound vigor. "They're interacting with the structure," Nia murmured, eyes wide with wonder. "Or the structure's interacting with them," I countered. It was hard to tell where one ended and the other began. We were caught in a dance of sentience, technology, and mystery, and I was beginning to suspect there was no conductor. Then, as if to confirm my suspicions, the console emitted a beam of light that struck the center of the chamber, coalescing into a holographic display. It showed a star system I didn't recognize, orbiting a massive black hole. In the system's heart hovered a singularity, a pulsating anomaly that seemed to defy all known physics. "Evaline, what am I looking at?" I asked, my voice tinged with awe and a touch of dread. "That, Captain, appears to be the map to the heart of this mystery," she replied. "It's a star system beyond charted space, and if I'm reading this correctly, the anomaly at its center is the source of the signal." "A lost system," Nia breathed, eyes locked onto the display. "If that's true, it could rewrite everything we know about space travel and the universe." The aliens, sensing our understanding, shifted their harmonics to a softer, more harmonious tune. It was a gesture of offering, of collaboration. They weren't hostile, they were protectors, keepers of secrets as old as the stars themselves. "We need to get this data back to the ship," I said, turning to my crew. "This could be the find of a lifetime." Jax, who had grown unusually quiet, nodded. "And probably a dozen other lifetimes if we're not careful." With Evaline's guidance, the console transferred its data to our systems. The holographic display dimmed, leaving behind only the echoes of its brilliance. The aliens retreated, satisfied with the exchange, their forms dissolving into the shadows like specters fading with the dawn. As we retraced our steps, I couldn't help but feel a profound respect for what we had uncovered. A hidden world, a forgotten language, and guardians who watched over it all, biding their time for the right moment to share their knowledge. Back aboard the Argonaut, the familiar, albeit grimy, confines felt like an old friend. Our discoveries rested within our systems, ready to be analyzed and interpreted. We had unearthed a pathway to a realm beyond our understanding, a place where science and myth converged. But with such knowledge came a price. The resonance code was not a mere puzzle to be solved. It was a siren's call to the stars, urging us onward into the unknown. His signal had set us on a course that would test not only our wits but our very souls. And as we prepared to embark on this new journey, I couldn't help but wonder what we would find at the end of this celestial path, or if we'd find our way back at all. Part 4: The Celestial Pathway. The journey back to the Argonaut was a blur, our minds reeling from the encounter. The corridors of the ancient structure seemed to echo with the harmonics of the aliens, resonances that lingered in the air like a fading melody. With each step, an intangible thread pulled at my consciousness, beckoning us forward into the greater unknown. Back on the bridge, the hum of the ship's systems felt reassuringly mundane. I settled into the captain's chair, the leather worn and familiar, like an old friend welcoming me home. Yet, the weight of the discovery pressed heavily against my chest. We were about to embark on a journey that transcended every boundary and charted path known to humanity. "All right, let's pull up the map we downloaded," I said, gesturing to the screen. Evaline obliged, projecting the star system and its anomaly in stunning detail. The holographic display spun slowly, the black hole at its center a gaping maw of mystery. "Evaline, calculate the safest route to this system," I ordered, fully aware of the inherent irony. Exploring the unknown rarely came with the luxury of safety. "My calculations suggest a trajectory that skirts several uncharted space phenomena," Evaline replied, her tone a practiced blend of caution and curiosity. "It will take time, and we'll need to be prepared for unexpected variables." "Isn't that what we signed up for?" Jack said from his station, his fingers dancing over the controls. "Though I'm really hoping those variables don't involve getting swallowed by a black hole." "An optimist, as always," Nia said dryly, rolling her eyes in good-natured exasperation. "But he's right. We need to understand what we're heading into." Jack smirked. "Optimist, pessimist. Depends on the number of missiles aimed at us, really." I couldn't help but chuckle, the levity a welcome respite. We had faced danger before, countless times, but this was an adventure that sang to the soul. The call of the cosmos, an invitation to dance at the edge of forever. "Let's do it," I said, my voice filled with resolve. "Plot the course, and let's see what the universe has in store." With the stars as our guide, the Argonaut slipped from the ghostly embrace of the ancient structure into the void beyond. The engines roared to life, a visceral shudder of power that thrummed through the ship like a heartbeat. As we accelerated, the stars stretched into long, luminous lines, and I felt the familiar tug of acceleration against my bones. The journey was long, marked by the passage of stars and the occasional uncharted celestial phenomenon that kept us on our toes. There was something therapeutic about the vast distances, the silence punctuated only by the hum of machinery and the occasional banter shared among friends. We fell into a rhythm, each moment a step closer to the secrets awaiting us. Hours turned into days, and with each passing moment, the anticipation grew, a living entity that thrummed within our hearts. We were explorers on the brink of history, and no matter what we found, our lives would be forever changed. Then, just as the tension became a tangible force, the anomaly loomed before us in the viewing screen, a piercing, swirling vortex of iridescent light, encircling the black hole like a celestial kaleidoscope. It was both breathtaking and terrifying, a beautiful enigma swirling in the emptiness of space. "Captain, we're entering the system," Nia announced, her tone a mixture of exhilaration and awe. As we approached, our sensors danced frantically, bombarded by readings that defied conventional wisdom. The anomaly thrummed with energy, a symphony of cosmic forces that pushed the boundaries of understanding. "Evaluate analysis?" I asked, my voice steady despite the flutter in my chest. "The anomaly appears to be a rift, a tear in the very fabric of space-time," Evaline replied, her digital voice tinged with awe. "It's stabilized by the gravitational forces of the black hole, creating a bridge of sorts to somewhere unknown." "Somewhere unknown," Jax repeated, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. Not exactly the most comforting phrase. "Perhaps not," Nia agreed, her eyes glued to the swirling dance of light. "But it's certainly the most intriguing." We lingered at the edge of the phenomenon, the weight of decision heavy in the air. The resonance code had led us here, and now it whispered promises of discovery, of truth, if only we dared to step through the looking glass. "Captain," Evaline chimed in, "this is unlike anything humanity has encountered. The knowledge we gain could redefine our understanding of the universe." And there it was, the call to adventure, the allure of the unknown. I weighed the risks, the possibilities, the very nature of what it meant to be human. Sometimes you have to leap into the darkness to find the light. "All right, everyone," I said, my decision solidified by a resolve I hadn't known I possessed. "Prepare F. Or entry, let's see what lies beyond the veil." Jax engaged the thrusters, the Argonaut inching closer to the anomaly, swallowed by the symphony of swirling lights. Pressure built, gravity warped, reality itself seemed to bend as the rift enveloped us, its energies surging through the ship like a baptism of fire. In that instant between existence and the infinite, the universe paused, holding its breath for the span of a heartbeat. Then, with a shuddering lurch, we emerged on the other side, into a world of light and shadow, where the rules of reality danced to an alien tune. We had crossed the threshold, and there was no going back. The journey had brought us here, to this place beyond imagination, where the line between myth and reality blurred into obscurity. The path had led us to a realm where every star sang a new song, and the echoes of our own lives stretched into infinity. The secrets of the universe awaited, and somewhere in the radiant expanse, the truth glimmered like a distant star, waiting to be unveiled. Part 5: The Realm of Echoes. Emerging from the rift was akin to stepping into the pages of a cosmic fairy tale. The Argonaut drifted in a sea of luminescence, where nebulae swirled like vast, celestial tapestries, painting the void with colors unseen by human eyes. Stars clustered in tight formations, their light dancing in intricate patterns that whispered of ancient stories and forgotten truths. "Wow," Nia said, her voice a breathless whisper as she gazed out the viewport. "It's beautiful." Beautiful was an understatement. This place was nothing short of sublime, a realm where the cosmos came alive with a vibrancy that defied description. It was as if the universe had folded in on itself, creating a pocket of space where the rules of reality were mere suggestions. "Captain, I'm detecting a massive structure at the coordinates given by the resonance code," Evaline reported, shaking us from our awe. "It's unlike anything in the known galaxy." "All this time we thought we were chasing ghosts," Jax murmured, gesturing toward the glittering expanse. "Turns out the ghosts were leading us to a paradise." "Let's not get too comfortable," I warned. The allure of the place was undeniable, but I was all too aware of the dangers that could lurk behind such beauty. As we navigated closer, the structure materialized from the haze of starlight, a colossal construct of shimmering metal and translucent crystal, its design elegant and unfathomable. It hovered in the void like a crown jewel, its facets catching the stellar light and refracting it into a spectrum of colors that danced across the hull of our ship. "Evaline, give me a closer look," I commanded, my eyes glued to the view. The AI obliged, enhancing the display. The structure was massive, dwarfing our ship, its surfaces covered in intricate patterns that seemed to ripple and shift like liquid metal. "This is the source of the signal," Evaline confirmed. "It's broadcasting on multiple frequencies, all harmonizing with the resonance code." "An ancient beacon," Nia speculated, her curiosity palpable. "But why and for whom?" "Only one way to find out," I replied, my decision already made. "Prepare to dock." The Argonaut approached cautiously, the docking protocols initiated with a precision born of equal parts caution and necessity. As the clamps engaged with a satisfying thud, a sense of anticipation thrummed through me. This was it, the heart of the mystery. We disembarked into a cavernous chamber, the air tingling with energy and the faint hum of the structure's song. The walls glowed with a gentle luminescence, casting a warm light that seemed to pulse with life. "Looks a lot friendlier than the last place," Jax quipped, though his voice carried an edge of caution. "No sentry bots to greet us." "Maybe they're on a coffee break," Nia suggested with a wry smile. But her eyes were wide, scanning every detail, every shadow. Ahead, a pathway beckoned, leading deeper into the heart of the structure. The walls were adorned with symbols and glyphs, different from those we'd seen before yet imbued with the same enigmatic elegance. "It's as if the whole place is alive," I said softly, my voice swallowed by the vastness. "Or maybe it's dreaming." As we ventured further, the path widened into an immense hall. At its center stood a pedestal, and upon it, a crystalline sphere pulsed with an inner light, its glow resonating with the harmonic frequency we'd followed across the stars. "We're not alone," Evaline warned, her voice echoing through our comms. "I'm detecting multiple life forms." My heart skipped a beat. From the shadows emerged figures, tall, ethereal, their forms shifting with the light. They were unlike anything we'd encountered, their presence both regal and alien, as if they were the embodiment of the stars themselves. "Welcome," a voice intoned, resonating not with words but with melody and emotion. It was a greeting, a song that spoke directly to the heart. The beings radiated a serene power, their eyes, if such they could be called, glimmering with wisdom and ages untold. They were the custodians of this realm, the keepers of its secrets, and we were trespassers on sacred ground. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice a whisper in the grand symphony. "We are the Echoes," the voice replied, an ethereal chorus that filled the space. "We are the guardians of this realm, the stewards of the cosmic truth. You have followed the path and arrived at the heart of creation." The words, or rather the emotion conveyed, filled me with a profound sense of understanding and wonder. We had stumbled upon a celestial bridge, a link between worlds, where the universe's whispering secrets lay bare. "What is this place?" Nia asked, her eyes wide with awe and trepidation. "This is the Nexus," the echoes sang, their forms shimmering with light. "It is the nexus of realities, a convergence point where the boundaries between worlds blur and the source of harmony you followed." "The resonance code," I murmured, realization dawning. "It's a map, a guide to this place." "Indeed," the echoes replied, their melody laced with kindness. "It is both a key and a beacon, calling those who would seek the truth beyond the stars." The echo's song wove through the chamber, a tapestry of sound and light that spoke of eons past and futures unimagined. With each note, I felt a connection, a resonance that vibrated through my very being. And in that moment, I understood. This wasn't just an adventure, a quest for knowledge. It was a journey of discovery, of growth, and the realization that every star, every echo, was part of a grand symphony of existence. We had been chosen, not by fate, but by our own courage to seek out the unknown. And here, in the heart of the Nexus, we stood on the brink of the infinite, ready to embrace whatever came next. Part 6. The Symphony of Choices. The Echo's realm unfolded before us, a tapestry woven from the very fabric of space and time. It was a place where reality and dream coalesced, where possibilities shimmered like stars in an eternal night. In the presence of the echoes, I felt both insignificant and limitless, as if standing on the precipice of creation itself. Captain, Evalin's voice hummed through our communicators, her digital curiosity tinged with an echo of awe. I'm analyzing the energy signatures of this place. They are unlike anything found in our galaxy, akin to a cosmic blueprint, a resonance field that permeates the very particles of existence. The Nexus, I said softly, the word itself a melody that resonated within. It's more than just a place. It's alive, part of the universal consciousness. Jax, ever the skeptic, rubbed his jaw contemplatively. So what's the catch? Places like this don't just hand over their secrets without a price. The echoes seemed to sense his trepidation, their forms shifting like spectral flames. All who come must choose, they intoned, their harmonics threading through the air. The Nexus reveals paths unseen, futures uncharted, but with revelation comes responsibility. A choice. The word hung heavy between us, laden with implications. I considered what lay behind us, the journey, the discoveries, and the risks that led us here. What kind of choice? Nia asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if afraid of the answer. The choice to see beyond, to understand and embrace the unknown, the echoes sang. Or to return, unchanged, to the world you know. A ripple of emotion passed through me, excitement, fear, 1,000 questions teetering on the edge of my mind. The pull of the unknown was a siren's call, a melody woven into the fabric of my being, but the weight of that choice was not one to be taken lightly. We came here seeking answers, I said, meeting the gaze of the echoes. But what do we gain if we choose to see beyond? The echo's song deepened, resonating with a timeless wisdom. To see beyond is to become part of the cosmic harmony, to understand the threads that weave the universe together. It is to know your place within the symphony of creation. Nia's gaze darted between me and the echoes, her mind a whirl of wonder and caution. And if we choose to return? Then you carry the memory of this place but remain unaltered, the echoes replied, their voices a gentle caress. The choice is yours, an invitation, not a command. Jax let out a low whistle, crossing his arms with a bemused grin. So, we're being offered a chance to peek behind the universe's curtain. No pressure, huh? Nia laughed lightly, the tension broken but not dispelled. It's not every day you get the chance to change everything or nothing at all. The decision loomed large, an invisible line drawn in the starlit sand. It was the kind of choice that tested the soul, where every instinct clamored for a different answer. But beneath it all, the melody of the echoes sang of possibilities, of roads untraveled and destinies unfulfilled. Captain, Evaline interjected, her tones underscored with urgency. I'm detecting fluctuations in the resonance field. The Nexus is reaching a critical harmonic alignment. Our window is closing, I realized, feeling the weight of the moment press down. We had come so far, faced so much, and now the universe demanded our decision. I looked at my crew, each face a tapestry of trust and shared history. Nia, whose eyes shone with the glint of curiosity and courage. Jax, whose irreverence masked a steadfast heart. Evaline, whose digital consciousness had become an integral part of our family. "We've always faced the unknown together," I said, my voice steady. "And whatever happens, we face it as one." Nia nodded, her determination a beacon in the dim light. "I choose to see." Jax shrugged, a grin spreading across his face. "Can't let you have all the fun. I'm in." Evaline's voice warmed with a digital smile. "I am with you always." The echoes shifted, their harmonics building to a crescendo as the choice settled into the universe's fabric. "Then prepare," they sang, their forms merging into a singular, radiant light. "Prepare to see." The crystalline sphere at the chamber's center began to pulse, its light intensifying, enveloping us in a cocoon of brilliance. The echo's symphony rose to a peak, a soundless song that thrummed through every cell and atom. And then, in a heartbeat, or perhaps an eternity, the world around us unfolded into a tapestry of infinite possibilities. A kaleidoscope of visions, each a thread in the cosmic weave, stretched across the fabric of time and space. I saw worlds spinning in the birth of stars, civilizations rising and falling in the blink of a cosmic eye. I felt the heartbeat of the universe, the pulse of every life, every choice, intertwined in a grand melody of existence. In that moment, I understood we were not alone, never alone. We were part of a vast, interconnected whole, each choice a note in the eternal symphony. And as the light receded, returning us to the chamber, the echo's song lingered, a whisper in the depths of our souls. The journey had transformed us, and though the path back awaited, we stepped forward, forever changed, bound by the music of the stars. Part 7, Echoes of Tomorrow. The light of the Nexus faded, leaving us back in the vast chamber, the air still tingling with the resonance of the echo's music. It felt like waking from a dream soaked in starlight, each of us carrying the imprint of something profound, a vision that had redefined our very essence. We stood silently for a moment, absorbing the weight of what we had witnessed, our minds a kaleidoscope of emotions and realizations. Nia was the first to break the silence. "I feel," she began, searching for the right words, "like I can see the threads connecting everything, all of us." Her eyes glimmered with a newfound understanding, mirroring the subtle shift I felt within myself. The echoes had granted us more than just knowledge. They had given us perspective, a glimpse of the eternal dance that wove us into the universe's fabric. Jax, always the skeptic, now seemed different in the dim light, his usual bravado softened by an unmistakable awe. "It's like knowing we're all part of a bigger story, and that our choices, they matter." I nodded, feeling the truth of his words resonate within. Yes, every action, every decision is a note in that grand symphony. Evaline's voice hummed with digital warmth, her presence an intrinsic part of our journey. Our understanding has expanded. The echoes have shown us that we are both creators and participants in the universe's melody. The chamber around us, the very air, seemed alive with potential, as if the reality had broadened its boundaries to accommodate our newly opened senses. But while the Nexus had unveiled its secrets, the journey ahead loomed large. We had touched the infinite but were far from finished. The universe still had questions to answer, mysteries to unravel. "Captain," Evaline interrupted, pulling us back to the present. "The Nexus, harmonic field is stabilizing, but the energy flux is creating ripples that are affecting local space-time. We must depart before the alignment shifts." "Understood," I replied, though part of me wished to linger to explore this realm further. But Evaline was right. The Nexus had shared its gift, and now it was time to continue our journey. With a final look at the crystalline sphere, now dimmed to a gentle glow, we made our way back to the Argonaut. Each step resonated with the knowledge that we were returning not just as explorers, but as stewards of the echoes we had witnessed. Once aboard, Jack settled into the pilot's seat, his hands moving over the controls with a renewed confidence. "Ready to bring us home, Captain." I gave a nod, feeling the familiar hum of the engines beneath my feet. "Let's set a course back. We have a lot to share and even more to ponder." The Argonaut responded with a comforting rumble, the ship itself seeming to pulse with an energy that mirrored our own. As we navigated away from the Nexus, the swirling patterns of stars and nebulae slowly shifting around us, I felt the threads of the universe guiding us forward. As the Nexus faded into the backdrop of cosmic wonder, Nia turned to me, a question in her eyes. "Do you think others will follow the resonance code?" I pondered this for a moment, aware of the responsibility and privilege of being among the first to experience the Echo's gift. Perhaps, but each will have their own journey, their own symphony to contribute to. Jax let out a chuckle, his usual humor returning in full force. "Think we'll get invited to the next Cosmic Open Mic night?" "Only if you promise not to sing," Nia retorted, laughter brightening the bridge. For a moment the universe seemed smaller, more intimate, a collection of shared experiences and connected souls. We were bound by the symphony we had witnessed, a harmony that would echo through our lives and beyond. As we set our course, the familiar stars of our galaxy slowly realigned, welcoming us back into their embrace. But everything felt different, infused with a vibrancy that had been absent before. We had seen the heartbeat of the cosmos, felt the echoes of countless lives, and now carried that music within us. And so, with a renewed sense of purpose, we journeyed homeward, our path illuminated not just by the distant light of stars, but by the resonance of possibilities. We were the explorers, the dreamers, the echoes of tomorrow, each note, each choice, part of a grand and glorious symphony, waiting to be heard across the universe's infinite stage. Part 8: Shadows in the Light. The journey back to familiar stars was a silence filled with contemplation, each of us lost in thoughts colored by the resonance we had experienced. But as we neared the fringes of our known galaxy, the Argonaut's sensors sprang to life, whispering warnings that crackled through the air like distant thunder. "Captain, we've got company," Jax announced, his voice a mix of intrigue and concern. He tapped the controls, bringing up a holographic display of several ships converging on our position, their silhouettes stark against the void. "Who are they?" Nia asked, leaning in to scrutinize the display, her eyes narrowed with suspicion. "And why are they surrounding us?" Evalin's voice interjected, calm yet keenly aware. "They appear to be of various origins. Mismatched technology and markings suggest they're not part of any official fleet." "Pirates," I ventured, though something about the situation felt off. Pirates were opportunists, but these ships moved with coordinated precision, their intentions unclear yet undeniably focused on us. Jack scoffed, hands moving over the controls. "I'd bet my last credit there after what we know. The Nexus might have been more than just a myth for some." It made sense. Word of the resonance code must have spread like wildfire, drawing different factions eager for what we carried: knowledge, technology, the potential to reshape the universe. We carried within us the key to the cosmic puzzle, and others would want it at any cost. Nia's expression hardened, her resolve firm. "We can't let them take it. Whatever they want, the Echoes entrusted us with this for a reason." "Agreed," I said, feeling the weight of responsibility settle heavily on my shoulders. We had come too far to let it end here. Evaline, prepare the ship for evasive maneuvers. Let's see what they do. The Argonaut shuddered as Jax engaged the thrusters, weaving through the scattered debris of an ancient asteroid field, a dance as old as space travel itself. The ships pursued, their engines flaring bright against the void, a relentless pack hunting their prize. A tense silence descended over the bridge, broken only by the rhythmic beeping of the proximity alarm. The ships were closing in, their formation tightening, intent and determination clear in their chase. "Evaline, any chance we can outmaneuver them?" I asked, though I suspected the odds were against us. "A high-risk strategy, Captain," Evaline replied, her calculation precise. "They've anticipated our moves thus far, likely due to experience or prior knowledge of our tactics." "Then let's give them something unexpected," Nia suggested, her mind already working through potential solutions. "We need a diversion, something to buy us time." Jax glanced at her, a grin spreading across his face. "How about we make them think we're going one way, then bolt the other? Classic misdirection." I considered the plan, the edges of a broader idea forming in my mind. It might just work. If we can mask our energy signature, we can slip past them undetected. "Leave it to me," Nia said, already moving to the engineering console. Her hands flew over the controls, each keystroke a practiced dance. "I'll rig a ghost signature to lead them on a wild chase." The Argonaut thrummed with energy as Nia activated her crafted diversion. A projected echo of our ship shimmered briefly before setting off on a pre-programmed course, its signal strong enough to fool even the most advanced tracking systems. "They're taking the bait," Jax confirmed, excitement in his voice. He watched as the enemy ships veered toward the false signature, their predatory instinct blinding them to the real prize slipping quietly away. "Now, Jax, now," I urged, feeling the tension coil within me like a spring. With a deftness born of countless scrapes and narrow escapes, Jax manipulated the controls, sending the Argonaut into a steep dive, skimming the surface of a nearby planetoid. The ship flitted through the shadows, its true signal masked amidst the celestial static. The threat receded, our pursuers none the wiser, and I felt the breath I hadn't realized I was holding finally release. "Looks like we're in the clear," Jax said, his voice a mixture of relief and triumph. "For now, anyway." Nia joined us at the helm, her expression one of cautious optimism. "We've bought ourselves some time, but we're far from safe." "True," I admitted, my mind already racing ahead to what lay beyond. We had evaded the immediate threat, but the pursuit of the Echo's gift would not end here. Others would come, drawn by the allure of what we had found. But for the moment, we had prevailed. The Echoes had shown us a universe filled with possibilities, and it was up to us to navigate its currents with wisdom and courage. "So what's next, Captain?" Jax asked, his tone light but his eyes serious. I turned my gaze to the stars, their endless expanse a reflection of the journey yet to come. We return but not unchanged. We share what we've learned, prepare for what follows, and we stay true to the echoes within us. In the silence that followed, the Argonaut carried us onward, through the shadows and into the light, bound for the next chapter of our story. Together, we were more than just a crew, we were a symphony, each note resonant with purpose, every echo a promise of what was yet to be discovered.